Good morning, everybody. So this is our specialty to start our Abhidhamma study. Let's start our class reciting Namo Tassa 3 times together. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. May I greet all of you. First of all, this is the auspicious time to meet all of you here studying Abhidhamma, which is the profound teaching of the Buddha. Today is 2020, 1st November, and yesterday was the day of Full Moon Day. At the end of the Wasa, we call in Myanmar the Denjo. That was the last day of the Wasa for the monks, and also that was the day the Buddha came down from the Tawatingsa Dewarams after finishing his Abhidhamma talk in the Tawatingsa Dewaram. Yesterday was the completion of the day when it was completed, the Abhidhamma teaching, both in the human worlds and Dewarams. So today we start our study, Abhidhamma. So this was a wonderful connection. And also, I would like to let you know about the information of this class. This class especially intended for the learner and candidate of the Abhidhamma exam held by the Ministry of Religious Affairs and Culture of Myanmar. So that examination has 3 levels. The first level is studying the book of Abhidhamma Sangaha. So ordinary level, it was also divided into 3. And in each level, the test or question for 3 chapters. Now we are going to study first level and second level of ordinary level of Abhidhamma examination. I would like to share my slide. It was already sent to you in a PDF. So the first thing, I would like to introduce the books we are going to use in the study and also in the exam. The first book I would like to recommend in our study is a comprehensive manual of Abhidhamma by the Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi. And another one is the previous version of the Abhidhamma Sangha's translation book, a manual of Abhidhamma by Venerable Acharya Nadara Mahathira from Sri Lanka. And the dashboard itself is written in the Pali. So we were trying to understand the language we are using. So the English is available for all. So in this class, we are going to study in English, but we have to remember the original text is written in Pali. And later in this class, in this session, I will introduce about the textbook. So I think you already have the comprehensive manual of Abhidhamma by Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi. So the other books, 3 books I recommend. The first one is Abhidhamma in Daily Life, and composed by the Janaka Biwansa, and Handbooks of Abhidhamma Study. Venerable Sayadaw U Silananda, he was a very famous in Abhidhamma teaching. And also the third one, our previous Riyada Sayadaw of the ITBMU, Dr. Venerable Nandamala Biwansa's book, Fundamentals of Abhidhamma. It has 2 volumes. And I will use to explain many of the reference from these 3 and also some from some books if necessary. Okay, so in this first lesson of the Abhidhamma study, I will give the introduction, brief introduction to Abhidhamma. So Abhidhamma is quite large teaching, and also it is said every people regarded that Abhidhamma teaching is not easy to understand. That is true. But if you have the right method to approach the Abhidhamma learning, to catch up the essence of the Abhidhamma will not be so much difficult, so difficult that you have thought. So I hope we could find the way to approach the easiest way to approach the Abhidhamma. In order to understand the Abhidhamma teaching, we have to know the classification of the Buddha's teaching. These are divided into three. So in the Pali, it is called and Tipitaka. This is called Tipitaka. So if you translate the three baskets or three collection of the teachings, the Buddha taught many sutta and many discourses during his 45 years of the Buddhahood. After enlightenment, up to his pre-nibbana, he taught many teachings to let the beings understand the true nature of reality. This is called the Four Noble Truths. All the teachings are divided into three, and namely in the Pitaka. So here we call it Pitaka and Pitaka. These are in Theravada traditional belief. These are recorded in the Pali language and also in the Sanskrit and the other language, but mainly preserved in the Pali language. So we Theravada followers trying to study the Pali language so that we could understand properly Buddha's teaching. And all the Buddha's teaching are divided into three. These three are called Pitaka. The direct translation is basket. Basket is to put in something. So here also, the teachings are put into the basket, three baskets. First one is Vinaya Pitaka, Suddhanta Pitaka, and the last one, Abhidhamma Pitaka. So the first collection of the Vinaya Pitaka is the collection of discipline for monks and bhikkhuni, and also samanera, etc. Usually understood monastic codes. And the second one is the collection of discourses. On various occasions, the Buddha taught to different people, different beings. Sometimes the discourse are preached to the Deva and Brahma. But later, the disciple of the Buddha collected all the sutta taught by the Buddha to different beings. Then make the collection. This what is Suddhanta Pitaka. Then the last collection is Abhidhamma Pitaka, what we are going to study. This is the collection of higher or special doctrine of the Buddha. So we will understand how higher during our study. And in First Buddhist Council, the classification was recorded as the Dhamma and Vinaya, only two. And the conclusion of the First Buddhist Council records the Dhamma and Vinaya. So here in this classification, we have the three categories of the Buddha's teaching. So we need to understand how related. So in the word Dhamma and Vinaya, Vinaya refers to Vinaya Pitaka, and the Dhamma refers to Suddhanta Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka collectively. So Suddhanta and Abhidhamma Pitaka are collectively called Dhamma, which is the work of Venerable Ananda. And the first one, Vinaya Pitaka, is the work of Venerable Upali. So this is according to the record of the First Buddhist Council. So we already have altogether 6 Buddhist councils according to Theravada tradition. So among these 3 categories of Buddha's teaching, Abhidhamma Pitaka is a profound teaching, very profound. But if you are the one who wants to use your intelligent power or your wisdom, you will be happy to see the Abhidhamma teaching to study. Okay, in order to understand properly about the Buddha's teaching, into which is divided into different categories, and I would like to introduce another classification of the Buddha's teaching. The first one we already studied about the three category classification into three. Now another classification give the division into five. These are five Nikaya texts. This is also very popular classification. And the first one is Digha Nikaya. Digha Nikaya is the collection of the long discourses. So later, the Buddha's disciple collects the Buddha's teaching, seeing the duration and the text. If it is long, collect it into the Digha Nikaya, long discourse. And the second one, the Medallion discourses, Majjhima Nikaya, and these are translated into English, and then you can read and you can study. And also the third one is Samyutta Nikaya and Anguttara Nikaya. And the last one of this classification is Khuddaka Nikaya. The word Khuddaka means minors. Minor does not refer to not importance. Minor is small, but every teaching of the Buddha are importance, equal importance. So the Khuddaka Nikaya has a lot of books under the title of the Khuddaka Nikaya. So Digha Nikaya in the Myanmar alphabet classification or the making the book system, Digha Nikaya has three books, Majjhima Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, same. All of these four great Nikaya, we say the great and the Khuddaka is because Khuddaka is the minor and the small. So we understood the rest four Nikayas are great. So great Nikaya has only three books in each Nikaya. But in Khuddaka Nikaya, so many books. Among them, the Vinaya Pitaka 5 volumes and Abhidhamma Pitaka 12 volumes are included under the title of the Khuddaka Nikaya. So here is the text given in the commentary, or Vinaya commentary, first book of Vinaya commentary, and Athasalini, which is the commentary of the first book of Abhidhamma, Dhammasangani. So, Tapitwa Chataro Piti Nikayi Digha Adike, Tadenyam Buddha Vachanam Nikayo Khuddako Mado. On this wall, we understand Khuddaka Nikaya includes all the books of the Buddha's teaching except the previous four Nikaya. So this is the classification of Nikaya. So the Abhidhamma teaching now we are going to study is under the category of Pitaka classification. It is the Abhidhamma Pitaka. And under the classification of the five Nikaya, it is in the Khuddaka Nikaya. We have to understand in this way. Then I would like to introduce the 7 original texts of the Abhidhamma. So Abhidhamma Pitaka, Abhidhamma teachings has 7 books originally recorded in the Buddhist Council, starting from past Buddhist Council. The first one, maybe you cannot memorize all of them, but this is just introduction. So you just need to collect the information to make clear this teaching come from where. The first one is Dhammasangani. This is the explanation of Dhamma, the translation. But this Dhammasangani, if you read, it is not easy to understand because this enumeration of the Dhamma, enumeration of the phenomena of mentality and materialities into their specific name. So Chitta, Chittasika, among the Chittasika also which one is what. Like this, the classification will come in detail. And also, so many synonym words will be given to each phenomenon. So it is not easy to understand. But by this Dhammasangani, we can study the other books because that is like the context of the whole Abhidhamma. Then second one, Vibhanga, the books are analyzed. This divides into the different the reality into different categories. And the third one, Dhadukatha, the speech on the elements. So here you see the element. The word element is the translation of the word Dhatu. The Dhatu element also very important aspect to learn in the Abhidhamma. So altogether, there are 18 elements to understand. Here, these are explained in the Dhadukatha. And Pukala Panyati, the designation of individual. So this is the only book talk about the Panyati. Yeah, Panyati. In the Abhidhamma, the teachings are focused and given in the way of the reality, ultimate reality. Not much talk about in the concept or conceptual thought, which is called Panyati. In other way, in the Abhidhamma, you cannot find, according to the Abhidhamma, there's no individual. Only the process of mentality and materiality that arise due to the condition and then seeks due to the condition. That is the teaching of Abhidhamma. But in the Pukala Panyati book, the individual are explained. So we can note this about the individual related to the Panyati. The fifth one is Katawatu, is fine earth controversy. So we will learn about the Katawatu later. And the sixth one is Yamaka, the books of prayer. The ultimate reality are divided into two and also uh, two aspects, and question and answer in by way of question and answer, this will explain. And the seventh one is the books of conditions. This is the largest and the most difficult text of Abhidhamma. So this classification, this enumeration is accepted by the Theravada tradition. In this case, I would like to let you know the maintenance of the Abhidhamma Pitaka according to the Theravada tradition. With Theravada tradition, does not accept the new books, and we don't remove any teaching of the Buddha, maintain it in the First Buddhist Council. So we try to keep maintain without adding or without removing. So we try to preserve the original teaching of the Buddha itself. Here in this case, among the 7 books, the only books Katawatu. Katawatu is the work of Thera Mauggaliputra Tissa. So who appear according to record is sometimes changes the years, the recorded years changes. So here widely accepted 218 years after the Buddha's Prinibbana. So during the time of the Emperor King Asoka in India. So Venerable Sayadaw U Silananda wrote in his Abhidhamma study, volume 1, he said that 234 years. Anyhow, we can understand that Venerable Mauggaliputra appeared at the time of Emperor Asoka, which was the time of the Third Buddhist Council. So the Katawatu, the complete work of Katawatu appear at the time of the Third Buddhist Council. So if you want to know more about the Katawatu and the history of the Abhidhamma, and you can read in the comprehensive manual of Abhidhamma introduction, page 1 to 20. So this is the notes from the books. And so the Katawatu was preached by the Buddha himself, but the complete word of Katawatu come at the time of Venerable Mauggaliputra Tissa. So the other books, about the other books, including the context of the Katawatu, who is the author? Who is the origin of the Abhidhamma teaching? There's a question, who is the author? If you give the answer from the Theravada tradition, the Buddha is the author of Abhidhamma. So the Buddha himself preached the Abhidhamma. So about the authorship, the controversy comes. This is the Buddha's teaching, the tradition say, but the later, some scholars say, this is a later work. But according to the Theravada tradition, we have the text written in Pali, which is called the commentary. The commentary explains where the Buddha taught Abhidhamma teaching. So 7 years after his enlightenment, the Buddha performed the twin miracle performance in Savatthi. Then he went up to the Tawatinsa Deva realms to teach the Abhidhamma. He preached there to the deities. The complete teachings of Abhidhamma was given to the deities at the Tawatinsa Deva realms. So there the audience are only Devas and Brahmas. There's no human being in Tawatinsa. Then the commentary of the Dhammasangani, which is called Athasalini, explained the Abhidhamma teaching was already in Buddha's mind before he has taught the Abhidhamma in the Tawatinsa realm. It is said that 4 weeks after his enlightenment, the Buddha spent 7 weeks. 7 weeks after his enlightenment, he spent 7 weeks around the Bodhi tree. During that time, in 4 weeks after his enlightenment, he contemplated the complete set Here you have to note that the complete set. It means even the Gatawa to include in the contemplation of the Buddha under the Bodhi tree. So he has contemplated the complete set of Abhidhamma in the jewel house, which is called Ratanakara, around the Bodhi tree. So beginning with the Dhammasangani, just now I has introduced 7 books. All 7 books were contemplated by the Buddha. So the event is explained there. At the time of investigation of the first 7 books up to the Yamaka, the Buddha's body did not emit ray. So it is normal, just contemplate. And that the teachings, the Dhamma, or in other words, all the natural phenomena come into the Buddha's mind. But outside, there's no change. When the Buddha contemplates Patthana, the last teaching of the Abhidhamma, the Buddha's body emits the auspicious rays. Why? The reason is the result of the working of omniscience, Sarvanyutta Jnana. The Sarvanyutta Jnana can contemplate the Dhamma in first 6 books easily. You can say that easily because the omniscience is very powerful. The teachings, it cannot match to the omniscience, the great knowledge of the Buddha. Then when it is come, the last part of the Abhidhamma, Patthana, that natural phenomena, the conditional natural phenomena, to understand is not easy. The test itself become difficult. So the knowledge make more effort. The Buddha make more effort using the great knowledge, great wisdom. At that time, by the work of the omniscience of the Buddha, the rays are produced by the body. So in this case, you will learn what is the relationship between the omitting the rays and the working of the wisdom. So wisdom is one of the mentality. So mentality produces the mind-born matter. And the mind-born matter related to the karma-born matter. In this way, the rays are produced. You will understand when we study more about the relationship between mentality and materiality according to the condition. So in this regard about the authorship of Abhidhamma, there are 2 conclusions. One is taught by the Buddha himself, that this is the traditional belief. And the other is Abhidhamma is later development. So if you stand in one side, you have to argue in the other side. So here in this class, I already informed that we are not going to elaborate the argument about the authorship of Abhidhamma. We will follow the traditional conclusion, which is saying that taught by the Buddha himself. So from this time on, along with the study of this class, we will believe Abhidhamma was taught by the Buddha himself. Then we will proceed our study to understand Abhidhamma teaching. So if Abhidhamma was preached to the Deva, deities, and who brought, the question comes, who brought Abhidhamma to the human world? So it was taught in the Tawatinsa Deva realms, not in the human realms. There's no human in the Deva realms in the audience of the Abhidhamma teaching. So who brought the Abhidhamma teaching into human realms? So we can read the text of the commentary explanation. So commentary explain the events during the days when the Buddha is teaching in Tawatinsa. As a human being, the Buddha needs to have the meal. So this is the difference between human and devas. The human beings have more effort to take the food. So the Buddha was born as a human being. So he followed the nature of the human being and he came down to the human realms for lunchtime. Before lunchtime, he came down and he went to the Uttaraguru, the North Islands, for his ashram. Then he take his meal on the bank of the Anodata. Okay, so in this case also, there's a question. At the time, the Buddha came down to the human realms. How about the teaching? Did they take break time or how it's continued. So the Buddha created another created Buddha, created image, which is called the Nimitta Buddha in Pali, and make the determination from this teaching to that teaching, from this time to that time. During the time, the Buddha go for his lunch. The Nimitta Buddha must preach this part of Abhidhamma teaching. By this determination, the Nimitta Buddha, the creator Buddha, continue Abhidhamma teaching. Only a few Deva, a few Brahmas, a few deities can notice that changing of this is the Buddha and this is the creator Buddha. So anyway, the teachings continue even the time the Buddha came down to the human realms. So the Buddha came down to the human realms and he go for Armstrong and he take his meal. At the time, Venerable Sariputta, who is one of the chief disciple of the Buddha, he approached to the Buddha to serve at the time, meal time, and he served with water and something else necessary. After the meal time, after finishing the lunch, and the Buddha preached briefly to the Venerable Sariputta about the teaching of Abhidhamma, what he has taught in that day. So Venerable Sariputta learned Abhidhamma at the exact day the Buddha taught in the Tawatinsa realm. Then the Buddha went back to Tawatinsa and the Venerable Sariputta come back to his monastery. At that time, Venerable Sariputta, he taught the Abhidhamma teaching he has learned from the Buddha at that day. He taught his Bhikkhu disciple, Bhikkhu pupil. So in this way, Buddha briefly teach to Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Sariputta teach to his Bhikkhu pupil, Bhikkhu disciple. So Abhidhamma coming down in that way from Deva realms to human realms. So we have to notice that the Abhidhamma is directly talked to the deities in complete set, but the Buddha gave the concept form of Abhidhamma to the Venerable Sariputta. So in this case, we can understand there are three versions of Abhidhamma teaching. The first one is the last version, which is taught to the gods and to the Deva and Brahma by the Buddha himself. The place is in Tawatinsa, Deva realms. It is said that while the Buddha preached Abhidhamma at the Deva realms, the Deva can keep their position without going around or moving and continuously long duration of Abhidhamma teaching. And another aspect to gratitude to mother. So the Buddha, the Bodhisattva's mother, Queen Maya Devi, passed away and she was born as a Deva. And she was the leader of that audience of Deva and Brahma. So this is the way to gratitude to the mother. And by this way, the Buddha let the beings understand to pay back the gratitude of the parents. There's so many reasons. And okay, let's continue about our three versions of Abhidhamma. The second version is concise version that was taught to the Venerable Sariputta by the Buddha on the bank of the lake Anottata. So this is very, the concise version, not easy to understand. Only the Venerable Sariputta could learn properly. Then because the Venerable Sariputta has a large wisdom, very great wisdom, so he could learn through the context, the thousand of explanation, thousand of definition. So the last version is Venerable Sariputta taught to the 500 pupils after learning from the Buddha. And he taught. That was the last version, is medium, not too large, not too small. So the Buddha taught to the Venerable Sariputta in very small form, and the Venerable Sariputta taught in the middle way. Okay, so now we have the Pitaka recorded from the First Buddhist Council. That was the last version of the medium version. So in this way, at the end of the Vasa, 7 years after the Buddha's enlightenment, which is recorded in the Maha era, 109, three versions simultaneously appear in the human realms and Deva realms. This is the origin of the Abhidhamma. So in order to understand what is the Abhidhamma, so the definition is given there. The Abhidhamma in the Tipitaka Pali text usually refers as a universal education. So this is an education. This is not only the religious. You have to use your knowledge to understand the Abhidhamma and the reasoning and the experience. So Abhidhamma is not only a theory subject to experience by the human knowledge. So if you practice the meditation, you will see mentality and materialities into their nature. Then you can classify this is what kind of mentality and what kind of materiality in detail. So learning and practice, connection come together in the Abhidhamma. So the explanation about the differences between the Abhidhamma and Sutta. I took this note from the introduction from the guide through the Abhidhamma Pitaka. So in the Sutta Pitaka, the explanation comes the person, I or you or like something else. So in the Abhidhamma, except the Pogala Panyati, there is no mention about the individual. It is just the physical phenomena and mental phenomena. So only the natural phenomena are divided into the physical and mental in order to understand true nature and precise nature. So here, I said the conventional and Ohara Vachana and Abhidhamma emphasize on the Paramatha Vachana. So Paramatha Vachana means absolute things, ultimate nature. So why it is called Abhidhamma? Following the word, the name given in Pali, this is the unique or higher teaching because it is explained in detail and in analytical way. So we can understand Abhidhamma, excellent or distinguished teaching among the teaching of the Buddha, especially refers to the Sutta teaching. So here, Abhi and Dhamma. Abhi is excellent and distinguished. Dhamma refers to the teaching of Sutta. So Abhidhamma is more detail, given in more detail and in analytical way than the Sutta. So there are four contexts taught in the Abhidhamma, which is called the Paramatha. Altogether, the five contexts are given, including Panyati, because the books of Pogala Panyati includes the compassionate truth. So here, two types of truth, the ultimate truth and the compassionate truth. And under the classification of the ultimate truth, the four category of teachings come. So here, the conventional and ultimate truth. The nature of the conventional truth, the conventional things. So it is given different names. And the ultimate truth, I have to notice this, the approved by the characteristic, function, manifestation, and approximate cause. There's no that kind of approved in the conventional truth. So here, I make the list 5 into 5. Chitta, Chittasika, Rupa, and Nibbana taught in the Abhidhamma Pitaka. Altogether 5. Here, the last one, Panyati, is included. Then if you say Paramatha, the ultimate reality and absolute truth, only 4, except the Panyati, consciousness, mental fetter, matter, and Nibbana. Panyati is not included under the name of the Paramatha because it is not an absolute truth. So here in this case, we can classify the two types of truth. That's introduction. You don't need to memorize everything. And so here, the Samudhi Satya, conventional truth, and the Paramatha Satya, ultimate truth. So here names is the Samudhi Satya. The Paramatha Satya, under the Paramatha Satya, the ultimate truth, there are 4 categories, as I said in the previous slide, consciousness, mental, fera, mera, and nibbana. In this case, we can identify the conditional reality and unconditional reality and conditional reality. So conditional reality refers to 3 categories of paramatha and ultimate reality, consciousness, mental, fera, and mera. And nibbana is unconditional reality. So there's no condition for Nibbana. And there are the specific condition for the consciousness, mental, fera, and meras. So according to the classification of the aggregates, the consciousness and mental fera are included under the name of aggregate of mentalities. And mera is included under the name of aggregate of materialities. So this is the classification come from the aggregates. Then in this case, we also have to pay attention types of the beings. So you may know that there are 31 planes. There are woeful state, and I want to introduce in next lesson the 31 planes. In 31 planes, if we classified according to the aggregates possessed by the beings. There are three types of aggregate. One is the Ekawakara, one who has only a single aggregate of materialities. So Chatuwakara possess four aggregates of mentalities, and Panchawakara possess five aggregates. So these are three categories of beings. I will explain more detail in the next lesson in connection with the 31 planes. So in 31 planes, and beings are born and live and die in this way. So I will relate this slide into the next lesson. Okay, this is the same explanation about the previous slide. So here, the group of mentalities and the group of materiality, how it happened. This is just introduction. We will learn in detail later. So here, for the last part of this class, I like to introduce the Abhidhamma Sangaha. So this text was written Acharya Anuruddha in between 10 and 11 AD. This type of the book is commentary, the concepts of compendiums. So these are the English translation. So this book explains all of the theoretical analysis of mind and matter, finally converges upon the practice of meditation. So explanation and the practice, connection. So what the Bhikkhu Bodhi said is this teaching, understanding the books of Abhidhamma Sangaha, is the key to unlock the treasure of Buddha Dhamma. So I hope after the end of this class, you will have the key to unlock the treasure of the Buddha Dhamma. And this book was only the 169 pages in the Burmese version, very small books. It is very in small book, handbook. So some books I introduced in the slides, so it doesn't matter, you can read it. Here, starting from the Mahatthakatha, this was originally come from the India and introduced to Sri Lanka by Mahinda Mahathira. And the commentary, three commentary, Athasalini, Samoha Vinodani, Panchapakarana, Atthakatha. And then sub-commentary, Mulatika and Anutika. So this is the outline of Abhidhamma Sangaha. You can read slowly, and then we will study chapter by chapter. And another book, Abhidhamma Vibhavini, this is the next level of the Abhidhamma exam. This also divided into three levels, and then this name is the Abhidhamma Vibhavini. This is a commentary of Abhidhamma Sangaha. But this book was criticized by the scholars, Burmese scholar usually, Burmese scholar. Vibhavini is full of mistakes, but it has the very good written form. And until now, it is regarded as the book, a very standard book. So the exam make it is textbook. So it is called the Tikajo in Myanmar. So famous Tika. So the books of Paramattha Dipani, which criticized a lot of, it is said that 270 mistakes of the Abhidhamma Vibhavini book mentioned in the Paramattha Vibhavini. It is the work of Venerable Larry Sayadaw, very famous teacher in the Abhidhamma. So he wrote this book in the 1897. So this is the end of my explanation for the past lesson. So I introduced the origin and the teaching of the Abhidhamma and the books of brief introduction about the Abhidhamma Sangaha and Abhidhamma Vibhavini. So that's all for now. So let's go to the discussion. Sharing mirrors. So let's share our mirrors together. It is written in the Pali language. Trying to read it. Imina Punya Kamina Mami Bala Samagamo Sadang Samagamo Hodu Jawa Nibbana Badiya Idam me Punyang Asawakya Wahang Hodu Idam me Punyang Nibbana Sapachayo Hodu Mama Punya Bhagam Sabha Satanam Bhajimi Te Sabe Me Samam Punya Bhagam Labandu Sadhu 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 Sakhi Hodu Nibbana Sapachayo Hodu